right, so we're live. Hi guys. Let me just lighten my screen here so you can see it a tad better. Perfect. Okay. This is great. Hi guys. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the first Sunday where I have changed the timing. Well, I guess these are like new Sundays now because it's every alternate Sunday. But hi Kanchan. And I hear there's a game happening and someone messaged me to say that I'm really brave to be still doing a live while a game is happening. But it's all good, guys. Like my post that I made this morning. What's the worst that can happen if you miss out on a Sunday live? Just catch the replay. It's all good. So I've got a couple of people here. I can see 14. Just really quickly to give you guys a heads up, what you're seeing on here is the Leaf virtual class session that I had. But today we are going to be doing, if you guys are following my channel, or if you are new and you don't know, we are doing Freesias today, and that is based off, let me just show you. Yes, that's based off the video tutorial that I put out on Thursday, and this is what that, well, I kind of enhanced it after, and so this is what that looks like now. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be taking the basic Freesia lesson that I did, because I think I only did like one, and I wanted you guys to kind of go ahead and practice and create it in different colors and do your own composition. So today we are going to be doing the composition and working on that. Okay, so let's just get started. I'm going to run through the list of supplies that I am using here so you guys can be prepared and ready. And then we are going to get the show on the road. So let me just revert back to an empty sheet. For paper, I am using my Canson Watercolour XL, and this is 9 by 12. For brushes, I'm going to be using a combination of, well, I'm just going to keep these handy. I might end up using them all. I might end up using just some of them. I'll let you know as we go along. I'm using the Silver Black Velvet number 4, Da Vinci Mop number 1, the Zen Art Supplies number 8, and then also Silver Black Velvet number 8, because sometimes I like to use two brushes at the same time, like one just for water to smoothen things out, and then one to add color. So that's why I've got multiples. Keeping that aside, I've got paper towel handy, not the cleanest, but it does the job. And then for colors, I am using my White Nights, my set of 36, which is right here. And yes, I'll walk you through exactly which colors I'm using, but I absolutely love this set just because it gives me such a different variety of different colors without me having to sit there and mix and then figure out, do I like this color, do I want to mix something else, because I can find that a little bit frustrating sometimes, especially because I want to do quick paintings, not just sit there and go on forever. So these are great, love it. Again, if you guys are interested in any of the products, the links to them are below, the names are below. Feel free to use the links, they're affiliate links, or purchase them from your favorite art store, whatever floats your boat. All right, so putting my little palette aside, I've got my bowls of water ready as well, and I think we are now ready to begin. So really quickly, I'm just going to look at the comments before I start, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Hi Leah, hi Joanne, hi Lori, hi Lois. Hi Ritu. I know it's tempting, isn't it? Hi Dolores. Okay, awesome. Yeah, if you guys ever are looking for the live, I think you just like head to my YouTube channel and you can see the live happening, and then you click on it and then you're you're there. So that's how it typically works, I think. All right, so we're gonna start. I'm just gonna make sure that you can see my sheet properly. The lighting seems to be a little bit off and on because of the kind of day we're having today. Seems to be nice, but then seems to be getting dull. Anyways, shifting this over so you can see clearly. So I'm just going to tell you guys exactly what I am thinking today. So I'm thinking to do the Freesias that we did from Thursday, but we are going to have them as like the secondary florals. I would like to do roses for our roses or peonies sort of blooms for our main florals. And those should be quick, right? Because you guys have done so many of my videos. And then we'll enhance the background with some of these cute little freesias. And I'm looking to do them in purple, fuchsia-ish, and then maybe like a yellow orangey color. So that would be really nice. And the roses themselves, I think it would be nice to do something a little more muted so then they're not all kind of mishmashing and fighting for attention. So maybe let's do the roses in more of a muted pink or orange maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments. What color should we do for the roses? It's got to be a muted tone because the freesias are going to be bright. I'm looking in the chat right now. Thanks, Leah. I'm glad you like my idea. Gotta come up with something, right? Have some sort of plan before just winging it, because that's typically what I do anyways. Okay, no one has a preference? No one has a preference for the rose color? Orange and pink roses. Okay. Orange and pink roses it is. All right, so I'm going to start off with doing my roses in a using the number 4 and the mop brush. Kanchan, you asked me, how do you maintain your brush tips? I honestly do not do much with it. I just wash it when I'm done. And oh yes, and I dry it in my little contraption here. I think you guys have seen this. It's this amazing ceramic cup that allows you to put your brushes downward, and then this way it doesn't dry upward, which could kind of really, yeah, but that's not about the tip really now, is it? But it might really be helping the tip, I don't know. I did read somewhere that you can take boiling hot water and just wash your brushes in it once a week or once a month. I'm not quite sure. I have not tried that yet though. All right, okay. We are going to start. Okay. Here we go. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is let's do roses with the pink centers. And so for that, I'm going to use I'm going to use Carmen. I know you guys probably already figured out I was going to use Carmen because it is my favorite. Okay, Carmen it is. I'm just mixing it onto my palette here where I already kind of have some color. Feel free to, I know, I've not washed my palette. C'est la vie. And with my mop brush, I'm going to get some Golden Deep. Yeah, I'm going to get some Golden Deep with my mop brush and just mix that onto the side over here on the same palette. I know. And I want the Golden Deep to be a lot lighter, so it's more watered down compared to the pinky bit over there. Okay, so starting off with Carmen using the number 4, we're going to start doing our little C strokes. And so I'm going to start off doing it right smack dab in the middle, tiny little C strokes, and you can see my C strokes getting slightly thicker as I go to my second layer. And the way I'm getting it thicker is if I just using the tip, pressing down about a quarter of my brush, the belly of it down. That's how I get the thickness, the thick and thins. I'm trailing off onto our little point. Again, if I'm going too fast for you guys who are new, I have a lot of rose videos, so feel free to check those out at your leisure. And it'll give you a better insight into this technique. So just continuing on, and this rose is clearly going up this way. So that's why there's more at the bottom, less at the top. Now I'm going to go in with my Golden Deep using this brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and create thicker strokes at the bottom here. And then I'm doing light strokes at the top. You know what? I am going to zoom in. I'm going to zoom in just so you guys can see, and I'm just waiting at the screen to see how it looks once you zoom in, so that you can see my sheet here better. And just want to make sure you're able to see it. You guys can see it? Is it clear? Can't quite tell because the thumbnail is so tiny, so let me know in the comments. All right, so I'm continuing on. I'm going to read your comments as we kind of go along. And you can see, because I have done my strokes right when the pink is still damp, I'm getting a beautiful blend of pink into the golden orangey yellow bit. Notice the amount of white space I am maintaining between these strokes. And what I'm going to do is just get a little bit of the golden onto the tip of my brush, and I'm going to add a couple of strokes in here just to kind of give it a little bit of a bump in texture. No, not texture, color. And finally, I'm just going to take the number 4 and I'm just going to add a couple of strokes onto the edges of my roses here, just to kind of have it blend in a little bit with what we have going on. And if you want to deepen the center a bit more and make it like a nice deeper pink, go in with some of the carmine, using it on the tip, just getting some on the tip of your brush directly from the cake, and just add it to the center. And you're just enhancing it so you get that nice light to dark kind of effect. And then less is more here, guys, so just like let it go at some point. Don't overwork the strokes, don't overdo it, otherwise you might end up watching it up a little bit. Okay, so now let's do this rose all over again, and yeah, let's do it all over again, get one more round out of this. So going back, using my number 4, I'm going to do another rose very similar to this. I'm going to create that one, moving things around just a tad bit so you can see better, because I'm noticing, like, I just want you guys to see the full page so you can see the full effect of it coming to life. It's just so much nicer that way. There we go. Okay, perfect. So this next rose, I think I'll do it more slightly downward over here, and we're going to start off by doing the little C strokes. This one can be facing upward, so I'm not going to do kind of like how this one's facing to the side. So this could just be like a straight on aerial kind of view of the rose. Going in, getting some of my golden, mixing it off to the side. This is slightly, I think it looks to be a tad darker. Actually, before I do golden, I'm just going to go back in with the number 4 with more water and just add thicker strokes around, just so when I go in with the golden I get a blend. Now I'm going in with the golden. I'm going to add some in there, in here, just in the areas where I added the pink, because I want to get some of the blend, the pink happening in with the orangey bit. Dipping the tip of my brush in water, I'm going to go ahead and create tad bit more of these strokes around, just to kind of have it fade off almost, because we've got a darker orange happening for this rose, which is fine because all roses don't typically look have the exact same hue or tonal range, right? As long as the color is the same, it's all good. I'm just going to add a couple of strokes inside as well. Get a little bit of a blend happening with that pink or the carmine that we've been using. And notice the white space, guys. Always maintain your white space because that is what really helps with the loose style of painting. I'm going back in with the number 4, and I really hate the lighting today. I wish the lighting was better. I'm just going back in with the number 4, and I'm adding a couple of strokes of the carmine so you can get a nice blend with the... So it's a nice blend. I love the two-tone florals, or two-tone anything for that matter. It just emphasizes and bumps your visual interest up so many levels. It just makes it so much more interesting. And now finally, our last thing that we're going to do for this to enhance it is just get a little extra color on the tip of the brush directly from your cake, and you're just enhancing the center so it stands out a bit more. So you've got that dark to light. Oh, look at that. The lighting is getting slightly better outside, so it's looking nicer here. So I'm just literally doing very soft swoops of color, and my area here is still damp, so as I'm doing these, they are blending in nicely with the color that I've laid down. All right, perfect. I'm not going to do any more. I'm going to leave that as is. What I will do after this is just adding in maybe a bud. Let's do a rose bud because I like to do three main florals. So using the leftover color, I guess I'm going to use the mop brush, and let's do a bud over on this end because the freesias can go up here, and we'll do a bud here. So let's do a bud just here, and it's kind of pointing this way. Loosely, and then I'm going to go in with this, and I'm just adding in our little C strokes. For the bud. I'm just sweeping off to the side as well so that it looks like there's some pink on that side. And then I'm just going to take the mop brush and then just create a couple of strokes off to the side of this so that it kind of frames our little bud, or budding rose rather, I should say, because it's not quite a small unopened bud. It's like half opened almost, sort of. And now just going back in, I'm just going to add a couple of strokes of the pink in and around here so that it looks like it's also part of that bud. And perfect. I'm not going to do any more. Now, you know what? Since things are slightly damp, well, I think the other 2 roses are pretty much done. I'm just going to add a little bit of green. And for the green, I'm using Greenery. So we're doing leaves. I'm going to use the mop brush because I want this to be looser looking leaves, and I have some leftover green. Feel free to use like chromium oxide or green or an olive green. Actually, no, not olive green because that's too bright. Maybe a mixture of Mars brown with your green, something a little more muted so it doesn't fight with the bright yet delicate florals that we have. And again, the ratio that I'm looking for is muted, because what we will do is make these like background leaves, and then we'll enhance it by adding darker leaves in the front. So I'm just going to add very loose strokes in between here, just to get a little bit of green happening. and just some over here too. It's super light, you can see, but I'm just gonna mix a little bit more this green and add in some green old tones here so it's slightly darker, and you can see better because it doesn't need to be this light. It needs to be light but not this light. And just make sure there's not a lot of pooling happening on your leaves, because sometimes these brushes hold, not sometimes, most times these brushes hold a lot of water, and what happens is when you go down to put your stroke, all the water gushes out of the brush, and then you have this big pool of water, and then when it dries it looks a little bit off and weird. So just be mindful of that. I think I can just do one more leaf over here. Again, you can see I'm doing very, very light, loose, not light, loose leaves. Not a lot of detail, just like a couple of strokes, just for visual greenery happening in there. And I put some in the center between the three, and that's it. So now that we have this, we're gonna move on to the freesias. So hopefully you guys have watched the video. If you have not, please check it out at your leisure. And I'm just gonna make sure I have a visual copy of what I want, idea of what I want these to look like. So I'm just gonna quickly reference it as I am painting along. Okay, so for the freesias, I said we are using, I'm missing a color, interesting. So I said we're gonna use a combination of the purple, yeah, so like I'll use my Quin Rose. I'm gonna use Quin Rose, I'm gonna use Quin Lilac, and possibly even mix some of the violet in there just to get a variation of it. And then last but not least, I think cadmium medium. No, I think I want to use golden again, just on a darker tone. Yeah, this is a tough call. Yeah, and then for the greenery, we're going to use a combination of olive green and chromium oxide. So just to give you guys a heads up of that. All right, so let's start mixing some color really quickly. I'm going to use the same spot over there that I used for the roses to kind of get this happening. So I'm going to show you my mixing here before I move it back up and you can see the rest. So let's get some of that Quin Rose, mixing it in there. All right, perfect. And then what I'm going to do is swipe off some of this golden that I have here using my paper towel, and I want to mix in, I'll mix in some of the violet. Sorry, this is not the violet, this is the violet right here. And I'm mixing it off to the side. This is way too much violet for me, so washing off my brush, I'm going to get some of the Quin Lilac, mix that in with the violet and get this other tone. Perfect. And I'm going to mix some of the carmine with this portion right here. So now I've got like 3 different sorts of pinky, purpley, mauvey hues. We could use this, and I think it'll be nice. And for the greens, I said chromium, right? So mixing some of that here, chromium oxide. And then I want to mix some of the olive green. So I really like that color too. Fabulous. And then finally, the third color that we're doing is like an orangey hue. So I think I'll do a mixture of golden and cadmium medium. So I'm going to get some of that golden here. And cadmium medium lemon or yellow or whatever you want to call it. And that is right here, so I'm just going to mix that onto this side here. And I think that should be good, and now we can start. So, before we start, I'm just going to check really quickly if anyone has any questions. And then, okay, no questions. All right, so we're ready to start. I'm going to move this just above my sheet and move that down, and just making sure that you are able to see this clearly. Perfect. So you can see my colors, and you can see me applying it to my florals right here. Actually, we don't even need this on this side, so I'm going to move it here. Moving things around just so you can have a better view, because I feel like that really does help when you're working. Okay, so need to have a better view of my roses. There you go, so you can see visually where you're placing yours. All right, so we are going to start off by using we're going to start off by creating the Freesia flowers first, and then from there we're going to do some of the buds, and then we're going to go into the greens. What I like to do is I'm going to be using 2 brushes at the same time. I'll be using the number 4 for the tiny green buds and the green stuff, and I think I'll use the number 8 Silver Black Velvet for the actual flowers. So we're going to start off by doing the Quin Rose flowers. So I'm getting some more of the Quin Rose and mixing it off to the side. And remember I said I wanted it to be darker, so that's why I'm getting a little more color and mixing it off to the side. So now that I have some, I'm going to start by creating the petals, which are pressing down sideways, going downward, and we're doing 5 petals at a time. Try and leave a little bit of white space in between. And very loose strokes. And leave some white space in the center as well. And then finally I'm going to use the number 4, and I'm just going to pull down some of the color to create the bottom of this floral, because the bottom isn't very dark in its tone, but it's like almost like a light purpley greenish hue. The spout, I don't know what you call the base of the floral, but yeah. And then using this color, I'm going to get some of the green and attach some of the green to the bottom, and there we go, we have our first Freesia flower. Make sense? So we're going to kind of do this on repeat for a couple of these and go from there. So in the center though, I do want a darker tone while this is still drying up. So I'm going to get some of I'm introducing a 3rd brush, getting some of that purple, and I'm just going to add it to the center before it dries up. So some of my pre-mixed purple, I'm just adding it to the center, so it gives me that flare. And I think that's good enough. I like it. We're moving on to our next flower. Just looking at a reference. And the next one, let's make it up on this end here. Again, very, very similar to the technique that we did here. I'm going to get in some of the color that I mixed, the second variation of it. Again, this is a very loose style of painting, and so we're relying heavily on white space, guys, is very important. White space, and also the color usage, which will make this pop and pretty. Okay, and then finally using number 4, I'm going to get some more of that green And we're gonna extend this and make this green kind of attach to the bottom of this floral here. Very loosely. And then we're just gonna give this a flourish. Feel free to get a mixture of the greens that you have mixed up and have it flow along in this little area here. Let's do another flower over here. So I'm kind of painting it upward, and these can just be a couple of buds that are kind of extending outward here. Again, notice I'm leaving white space in between, and kind of allowing this to be loose, but also kind of giving it a flow. And let's see, so now I'm going to go back in with my number 8 and get some more of the pink, and let's do one more. Oh, I got some of the purple in there too, that's fine. I'm just doing a couple of loose strokes here that look like they're kind of blending in with our front floral, or in the background of the front floral that we have here, and so just attaching it down there. So we've got like this nice array of colors, and if you want to get some nice tonal range with this, just go in with a clean brush. So I've cleaned off my number 4, and just kind of take a little bit of color and just add a couple of strokes in the background of this, and maybe off to the side as well. And this adds some visual interest, making it look like there's some lighter folds of this flower in the background kind of thing. Add a little bit of color to the buds as well if you want to, otherwise just leave it green. But that's essentially the idea of how we're going to be doing the rest of them now. So moving on, we're going to go ahead and create some more of these on this end here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, and let's do it more of the purple. So this time I'm going to get some of that violet or quin lilac, and I'm mixing some more onto my brush area here. Sorry, my palette. And quin lilac, mixing it in just so we can get a nicer, different color. Because there's a little bit of purple here, I think I'm going to take some of that carmine and mix it in with this. Let's just see if I can get more of a pinky hue, slightly different. Okay. You guys can't see my mixture, but here's my mixture. It would be nice to get like pink with purple, mauve, kind of blending in nicely, right? So that's what I am trying to do here. Let's see how this works. Yeah. A couple of variations, and then we can go into adding the yellowy orange bits that I was talking about. Okay, so kind of very similar idea. We're gonna go ahead and do the same florals on this end. And the thing with the number 8 is because it's so thick and holds so much water, sometimes even if you're trying to do smaller florals, they end up being bigger. Anyways, but here we go. So let's try and do these little 5 petal florals. This one can just be facing upward. It's okay. We don't need to do the down spout or whatever you want to call that. And one suggestion I would say is, if you like that faded look in the background, just go ahead and take your second brush and just add a couple of strokes here and there, framing the flower, and then that will really give it a lighter, fluffier look. And then I'm just going to get some dark violet directly on the tip of this brush and add it to the center of this floral while it is damp, just to give us that nice little flare of color. And then we're moving on and creating some more of these florals here. So the next ones, I think I want to make them slightly smaller in size. And then I'm just dipping the tip of this brush in water to get a slightly different tone. Because these should look like bunches now, because it's almost like a bouquet setting. So I'm trying to make them look like little bunches without clear reference of, you know, where they are. Oops. And then we're adding the darker tones to the center to kind of give it a pop. I'm adding some more of that purple there. And then mixing a little bit of color using the number 4, and just like I said, adding some visual reference in the background. I'm just going to add, too much water came out there. Just going to add a couple of strokes in the background to make it seem there's some hanging out in the back. I want more of the pink though, not the purple. So a variation of color really does help make it look like little bunches are happening. And then from here we can just have well, let's do a couple of purpley buds and then we can get into the green. So I'm using this for the buds. So let's do this happening probably kind of upward. So here's a bud. Here's another bud. Okay, not upward, downward. There's another bud that's like purple. And then now finally let's go into the green. So getting some of my green using my number 4. I'm going to go ahead and add the bottom half of this. Have an extension of it kind of going towards this flower. And then I am painting it outward. Let's just get a little bit more green happening. A different variation of the green. And notice, like, go in with a darker green as you're painting this green in, and just kind of do a stroke here and there. Allow it to sink, or not sink, allow it to kind of blend in with the lighter green that you have, just for, so then you have like a 2-tone range happening. Great, perfect, that's it. And I'm just going to add a couple of green strokes in between these florals as well. It could be indicative of green leaves or whatever happening in the background, but it just really makes it look fuller and more complete without you adding a lot of detail. Just like a couple of strokes, doesn't have to be anything intense or crazy. Okay, so something just like that is good enough. You know what? I feel like it's looking so light, so I'm just gonna darken this a tad bit so you can see better. Fabulous. Okay. All right, so let's do our little orange, and then I think we can fluff it up with some green, and we are done. But feel free to kind of add your bits anywhere else that you want to add them, I guess. Like if you feel like you want to add more, then go ahead. So I'm going to do the orangey yellow version of these freesias right over here, and maybe this bit Should we have the little trailing bit for that or not? I'm not quite sure. Let's just see. Let's just see where it takes me, and I will decide as we kind of go along. Okay, so I'm using the number 8. I'm using my number 8, and I'm gonna get some of the orange color here. But we have too much water on my brush, so I'm dabbing it onto my paper towel and getting some of the golden. And I'm just gonna get a little bit more of that cadmium as well onto my brush. And now we're gonna start doing the exact same things that we did for these florals, with these guys here. I'm just gonna do it, plop it right at the top here. And then going in with my number 4, I'm gonna get some of the deep, orange deep, or whatever you wanna call that. Not whatever you wanna call that. It is golden, not orange deep. I'm mixing some of that to the side, and I'm just gonna add a couple of strokes, kind of making it seem like it's background petals to this flower. And then getting some of the cadmium, I'm going to create a couple more of these florals, possibly bunching over here on this side. This one's kind of facing us. And then just for the center of this, I'm going to get a little bit of the Titan red just on the tip of my brush and add it to the center. Perfect. And just kind of give it that pop, right? And then let's just do a couple of like proper buds for these over here. I'm using the same color that I have left over, adding a couple of buds here. And then I'm using the number 4, washing off all the color. I'm getting my green. And we're gonna mix, we're gonna get the bottom half of these buds painted in. Adding some there. And I need more green. And just getting it upward like we had discussed earlier. And I'm creating these loose little buds on this here. Just like that, perfect. And I'm going to address, I know there's a couple of comments or questions happening in the chat. I'm going to get to you guys just as soon as we finish this bit. I want to finish this and then I can address you. So I'm just going to add a couple of green strokes in between my purple and my orange as well. And then I'll do one more little stroke with extension with the buds. You notice the green is a tad different from the one over there. I'm just going to add a little bit of a darker green stroke in there as well. There we go, perfect. I think I like how this looks. Now we can kind of go ahead and enhance and add some greenery to this. Here's what that looks like. Here's what the whole image looks like. You know, I'm wondering if you could even maybe get away by adding a couple framing on either side here too. So Here we go. I see the last comment where Rebecca says she's struggling to get the petals from number 8 brush and gravitating towards number 4. Remember what I said, guys, like number 8, you get such big florals. I typically gravitate to using my number 4 for almost everything because I feel like it's the perfect size, and that's okay. Like, go with what you feel works best for you. I'm going to use the number 8 for this and get some muted color. I'll get some of the golden because we've got lots of pink happening, so I'm going to get a little bit of the golden that I have mixed up, and I'm just going to add some very loose looking like petals almost that are like in the background here. And then as I'm creating more, I'm just gonna dip the tip of my brush in water and just get a tad variation of the golden cadmium combo, just so it doesn't look like it's all the same thing, but it's got like a nice enough build of color and just looks like it's part of the whole setup here. So maybe a light to dark kind of effect. So I'm dabbing off most of the color, and I'm just going to swipe off some of the color on this here because I want it to be like darkest here, lighter on the outside here, right? Like literally like a nice fade. That's great. And now I'm just gonna get some green in the mix over there. Using my number 4, of course. Let's get some green in the mix. Perfect. Love it. I think that should be good for this setup. Now we can just finish off with some greenery. So I know I used the mop brush for these guys here. I'm going to use the number 4 for the rest of the greens, and let's use a combination of either emerald and, well, I'm actually using a green here. This is green, but you can use emerald and Mars brown if you wish, or green and Mars brown, like whatever your preference is for greenery. Just pick something that's a tad bit darker. That will stand out a bit more compared to all this bright colors that we have, because now what we're doing is we're adding contrast to our bright and slightly muted greens. Okay, so for those of you who have taken the leaf virtual class with me, we've done a lot of these leaves already, so you're well versed with it, or if you've done a lot of my other videos, they're kind of in there as well. But we're literally going to start overlapping some of the leaves, these darker leaves, on these guys as well, so then it looks like background, foreground, and you got some good detailing happening. So just gonna add a couple of leaves over here first. So I'm gonna start off over here with a stem, and then I'm gonna extend and add another stem, and then another one here, and then this is my guidance of where the leaves are going to be. So here we go, just adding from using the tip, tracing down to the stem of this branch, creating one leaf there. And now you want a good enough variety of leaf sizing as well, right? So I am doing a small one there and a slightly bigger one here. Notice the white space I am leaving in between my leaf. So these are my 2-stroke leaves. This leaf here, I'm going to start from the stem downward and give it a nice pointed kind of edge. I always like to push the color to the stem so that it creates a nice dark to light kind of effect. And then I'll just do one more leaf just protruding from the actual flowers right there. and that's good for that area. Now we'll move on to the next bit, getting some more of that, is it Mars Brown? Yeah, it's Mars Brown into my green just to get a nice dark color. And we're gonna create leaves here. So here's more. I like to do my stems first and then from there extend and do the leaves. These are very simple, basic leaves, nothing much to it outside of doing 2 strokes. Just like that. And then one more here. And then we'll do one, actually, let's do one here too. And then finally my last one, which is right there. Perfect. Okay, so we got leaves here, definitely got to have some leaves there, so I'm mixing a little bit more color. And again, if you've got a variation of greens happening, that is great because it really does help enhance your painting. So like variations of pinks, greens, whatever colors you're using, get a couple of different variations in there. Okay, so here's some more leaves. Mix some color and just adding leaves right there. Just getting some more of that Mars Brown in because I want a darker tone. Great. And then one over here too. And I love the edges of these leaves, like the tips of them, like how they're almost like fading, like a dry brush stroke almost. Love it. Okay, so I think we've got, so it's great that we got leaves here. We got leaves in these 3 areas. Let's do a couple happening at the top here, and this is essentially just to give your composition a shape. So right now it just feels like there's one just like in the middle standing up. It's a little bit weird for me, so I just want to add a little more greenery and just like smaller versions of these leaves at the top here. So just like that. And then just gonna add some darker tones just at the tip of base of the leaves. You guys are seeing that, right? Yeah, perfect. And just to kind of fill it up, just want to add one more here. Make it look like there's like leafy strokes here. And finally, some over here on this side too, so it kind of, again, we're giving it shape. Just want to make sure you guys can see this. So pressing down, using the tip, pressing down, trailing off. Then getting some more color. Add another smaller leaf. And then another one here. And then I'm just kind of filling up this space here with like a couple of green strokes to kind of make it seem like there's more greenery happening from down there. So this is good. I think what I will do is just add a couple of lighter looking strokes or leaves. So I'm watering down some of the green that I have on here. And I'm just going to add a couple of little strokes here and there to kind of make it look fluffy and fluffy. Make it look fuller. That's what I was trying to say, not fluffy. And yeah, so at the same time, they don't really stand out as much as the darker leaves here. So just adding some here and there on a smaller, more muted tonal range. Much lighter as well. So feel free to add that wherever, or add these wherever you feel it works for your composition, because I'm not sure if you're following mine to the T. I encourage you to do your own, because this is how you kind of really get good at doing your own stuff. If you just try your own without really, you just take the technique that I'm showing you and kind of run with how you want it to be placed, if that makes any sense. So I'm showing you technique, watch my technique, and then kind of do your own composition. And that is such a great way to learn how to do your own stuff. So adding some at the bottom here as well. And these can just be ones that are like trailing greenery. And just a couple here as well. And as I keep adding these strokes, I'm adding more water to my green, and this is what like really waters it down as well. And so I'm not getting that super dark tone. So just allow it to trail off, guys. And let's see, I think just maybe a little bit off on the edges. And we're nearing done. Yeah, I think I'm so tempted to do some at the very top here, and I think I'll just add some very light little strokes and then leave it. Okay, that's it. I'm not doing any more. That is it. Okay, so now you guys can see the whole thing. I'm just gonna make sure you're able to see the whole thing here. There we go. Okay, so this is what the final product, let me just zoom in a tad bit. This is what the final product looks like. Now I'm going to read your questions if you have any. And for those who joined midway, this composition today is mainly to to use the Freesias that we've learned in my tutorial from this week, which came out on Thursday. So if you've watched that 10-minute, I think it's like 10 or 12 minutes, watch it really quickly. Then you can hop onto this one and do this composition. If you don't know how to do roses like this, watch the video on roses, and then you can come in and kind of do this composition as well. Let me see if anyone had questions, because I feel like there were some questions happening. Hi, Zanette. Hi, Anupama. Thank you. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Andy. Thanks, Ritu. Hi, Fergie. Hey, Usha. Thanks, Lena. Clearview. Okay. Questions. Let's see. I think besides the questions about the number 8 brush, number 4, or the comment, that was a comment. Hi, Rebecca. That's so cute. I'm glad you caught the live too. Thanks, Grace. Hi, Gail. Kathy. Oh, Kathy's definitely done it. Thanks, Kathy. Glad you enjoyed the video. And you're so welcome. It looks like a wedding bouquet. Well, yes, I love weddings, so I'm glad that you said that. Do they actually put freesias in wedding bouquets? I guess they would. Like the white ones would be really nice and elegant. Yeah. Thanks, Smitha. So you're creating depth by painting very faint leaves in the beginning, layering in super saturated leaves, then another layer of pale. Brilliant. Yes, that is exactly what I was doing. You nailed it. Adding some in the background first, then overlapping with darker on top, and then kind of just fluffing around the edges with lighter ones so that they're not super overpowering to the main elements that you want to stand out. This way you have more control over your composition as well. Thanks, Seeking Wonders. Is X Canson 100-pound paper good? I'm not sure what paper that is. I mean, this is the one I'm using, but this is just like their basic, not 100% cotton watercolor paper, and it works fine for me for, I guess, my practice sessions. But if I'm doing a commission or something, then I do I use better paper, like better as in like 100% cotton paper to get a better effect. Hi, Lashy. Thanks, Ritu. Thanks, Leah. Okay. All right. I guess no one has any other questions. If you do and I've run off, just feel free to send me a DM. But I cannot wait to see what you guys have done. So please tag me on Instagram or on Facebook. My handle is Hello Clarice G. And I'm looking forward to seeing your work, guys. So thanks so much for joining in. And I'm wishing you all a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. Oh, by the way, we're at the end of September already. So next month's virtual classes are going to be on peonies again. So for those of you who missed it and they said they wanted to do peonies, we're doing peonies again. So stay tuned for the dates. I will be posting it on Instagram. And just so you know, Bloom patron members get the classes for free. So check it out if you want to kind of get a little bit extra on top of just attending the class. So I think it's worth it. It's a great deal. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we will chat soon. Bye. Love you all.